Hi, Dr. Roberts.
Hey, Ms. Price, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm in sunny Orlando, Florida. Where are you today?
Oh, I am in the Midwest, the show me state of Missouri, enjoying a 90-degree day as well.
Cool. Well, the purpose of this video is to talk about The Power of 7 Second Chances, the book that we co-authored together. So share with everybody, what does it mean to give someone 7 second chances, if that's what this book is about?
Yeah, the book is about 7 second chances, but and the name, what it implies is that we're trying to shift the paradigm of people's thinking. Those who are not only in leadership, but individuals who work with people, individuals who serve people, or even serve children. Why is it necessary for you to ground decisions that you make in an empathetic and compassionate approach? And I know one of the new buzzwords that we hear a lot about and have heard about for the last maybe 20 years or so is this idea of cultural responsiveness. And so without trying to conflate too much, 7 second chances as a leadership philosophy, as a life philosophy, really allows individuals to give those with whom they work multiple opportunities to become successful. Because we know that many people do not necessarily get it right on the first go round. They don't get it right the first time. We know that everyone has needs. And so to give you sort of a snippet and an idea about the genesis of the idea of the title of the book, The Power of 7 Second Chances, it started first with my experience, my own experience as a young person in high school. It is because of a school leader who led from a place of empathy and compassion and was willing to give me multiple chances to get it right, that I eventually not only graduated from high school, but went on to earn several degrees, became a successful school leader, district leader, and an Olympic athlete. And so that's one part of the genesis. The second part of the genesis of 7 second chances is, when you look at ancient cultures, and a lot of religious references. The number 7 represents completeness and perfection. And numerologist tells us that it represents completeness and perfection. So this idea that we want people to become perfect, we want them to be able to complete a cycle of successes, speaks volumes about how the number 7 really connects not only to the book, but to the work that we're expecting people to do when we ask them to pivot towards a place of empathy and compassion. And the third and final part of the genesis of this work in the book is that we ask a research question. And the research question is simply this: if you give an individual or individuals multiple opportunities to be successful, are they likely to achieve the success that they otherwise would not have? And we looked at a research question, we hypothesized, we eventually rejected the null hypothesis. And so we found that yes, given opportunities 7 times or more to individuals to get it right, usually results in increased productivity.
I love that you provide your personal experience with the power of 7 second chances. And I can absolutely appreciate a historical perspective around the number 7. And, I'm an engineer by degree, so evidence-based research is really important to me.
Sure.
But the business owner in me and former executive in an organization in me makes me think, gosh, when you multiply times the number of people that are in my organizations, and I think 7 times for people to get it right, 7 times 2, really, 7 second chances. That sounds incredibly expensive to my business.
Yeah.
Can you help me with that?
Absolutely. And so, we've worked with schools and school districts and small and mid-sized organizations. And those who have employed this philosophy, those who have shifted towards this paradigm, they will tell you, very, very quickly that it's not as expensive to invest this kind of time. It's not as expensive to invest, at least mentally, a willingness to give individuals 7 times 2 chances. In most instances, you never have to give an individual 14 chances to get it right. In many instances, just because your organization or your team is anchoring its work in this philosophy, that in itself puts people in a place whereby they're willing to become risk takers. They're willing to make sure that they go above and beyond. Conversely, if individuals in schools, school districts, or other organizations, right, from the military to healthcare to small businesses, are working in an organization whereby they believe that their bosses, their leadership will not be empathetic and compassionate when they make a mistake, they are likely to become risk averse. And so here's what happens, right? And so you've asked the question about how expensive will this be if you have an organization, let's say, for example, or a team of 30 people, and you want to give each of those individuals 7 times 2, 14 chances to get it right. Don't think of it that way. Here's how I want you to look at it instead. And I'll give you a concrete example. In K-12 education, the cost to recruit, hire, retain, and train a teacher is between $12,000 to $15,000 annually. And so when you have an organization or a team,
per teacher, per person,
per person. And so I want you to think about this. How much more expensive would it be if you have to lose teachers because you're focused on a culture of evaluation as opposed to a culture of capacity building? And that's essentially what empathetic and compassionate leadership, the power of 7-second chances, espouses and pushes. And so if you have to bring teachers in and you're focused on evaluating them, we know that in districts across this country, the average retention rate the average turnover rate of teachers in every district in this country is between 20 to 30% annually. And so you're losing 20 to 30% of your teachers times $12,000 to $15,000. That is really expensive for you. And so we're saying that this is not necessarily panacea, but the power of 7-second chances is one way, is a proven way of getting you to retain your teachers, to retain staff, to retain members of your company. And that's what the philosophy is grounded in.
Yeah. So one thing that you say often that I have adopted is that at the end of those data points, they're children. So
Yes.
in addition to that $10,000 to $15,000 per educator, you also are impacting a child's life, not always in the most positive way when you have turnover on your staff. So that's another thing that I think in the educational arena that we have to be aware of. So what I hear you saying is, okay, yeah, we're saying 7-second chances, but this is really a guideline to help us philosophically just say we're going to focus more on development than we are on evaluation, to encourage people to take healthy risks so that they can move the needle forward.
Absolutely. Not only development, but there's another part of the power of 7-second chances that provides an incredible benefit to organizations we want them to think about, and that is morale building.
Okay.
Right? So when you have an organization whose work is anchored and grounded in this philosophy about the power of 7-second chances, not only are you focusing on developing individuals, people who are coming into your organization are even more excited because they know that they're coming into an organization performing at a certain level, and you have a willingness, it's grounded in your core values to build capacity in them. And the second piece is morale. When we've looked at organizations, especially schools, school districts, and mid-sized companies, where individuals are likely to leave within a short period of time, oftentimes those exit interviews, they often speak about the fact that they're not necessarily leaving the company, but they're leaving the philosophy of the leader because their morale is low. And so it's very, very important for us to say, look, leadership should actually espouse and share this philosophy. In the book, you and I talked about the trickle-down effect. And essentially what happens is if those who are the helm of the organization believe and invest in an empathetic and compassionate approach by looking at the power of 7-second chances, it is likely to trickle down to, let's say, from a superintendent to district leaders. That is likely to trickle down to school principals. And that is likely to trickle down from them to teachers and ultimately to the customers that we're serving, children. When we look at how we provide empathy and compassion to children, it's highly likely that we're going to see not only increase in enrollment, but high retention rates and increased academic performances.
Okay, so I buy in clearly. I'm there. I'm with you. I have a certain amount of leadership development dollars that I get to spend every year. I have a certain amount of dollars related to professional development in general. There are a plethora of people and organizations I can lean on. Why would I pick to focus on empathetic and compassionate leadership or the power of 7-second chances as my area of focus? Why is that the lever?
Certainly. So I'll give you 3 quick reasons as to why that should be the lever. One, and this one certainly is one that will make your ears tingle, and that is compared to every other leadership philosophy out there and all the other leadership training and development programs, the cost factor, investing in the power of 7-second chances and the resources we provide is so inexpensive that it's affordable to pretty much every organization. The second is once you invest in this philosophy, we will inundate you with resources. We will make sure that this is not a one and done. It's not a one-time, here is the book. Here, although the book is incredibly informative, here's what we're giving to you, but there are resources that we will share with you. We make sure that we will provide an ongoing support, ongoing training, and ongoing development to every member of your team. The second big piece that I want to share is the fact that if you are questioning and worried about where are you as an empathetic and compassionate leader, we have a research-based, practitioner-based, and evidence-based survey that we will ask you to take. We will share that with you. And this is a survey that anyone can find on the livelyparadox.com website. And this survey, you can complete the survey in about 15 to 20 minutes. And believe me, at the end of the survey, you will be able to recognize where you are on the orientation of an empathetic, compassionate, and culturally responsive leader. And once you complete the survey and you probably share it with the members of your team, you will get a good sense of where those individuals are. And the third and final piece is simply this. The number 7 will continuously reoccur in the work that we're doing. And so as a part of what we come to bring to your organization are 7 key strategies. 7 strategies that have proven to be successful in organizations, especially in K-12 organizations in Baltimore City, in the South Bronx, New York, and in Washington, D.C., where because we've implemented the power of 7-second chances as a turnaround philosophy, we've seen retention rates that included, in one instance, 100% of retention of teachers and leaders. And so that's why you should invest in this philosophy. That's why you should invest in the resources. And then we want to encourage you to reach out to us. Go on livelyparadox.com, look at some of the free resources that we're giving and sharing with you, and then know that we are ready and available to come and support your work to shift the organization's paradigm of thinking.
Yeah, I love that, right? Because if I don't have the funds, the resources, that can be one of the largest hurdles to clear. And so I appreciate that you brought that up. But the 7 strategies that you have used in education, I have found, have actually also been incredibly helpful in industry. And
Yes.
when you think about participants in learning and development programs or professional development programs, the participants in your sessions, it's been astonishing to me how the emotional risk that they take in front of all of their colleagues, physically crying, fully sharing how the power of 7-second chances has changed the way they view their leadership roles. That for me is the thing that makes this definitely worth the investment. So we're going to have a series of videos talking through one chapter of each of the books. So for those of you who don't have any budget dollars, be on the lookout. Each chapter we'll go through it. And then if you do have the funds to buy the books for your organization, wonderful. There'll be reflective questions at the end of each chapter for them to be able to use and go through on their own. And the assessment that you mentioned is going to be available starting in July as a free download for anyone who goes to Lively Paradox. So that's a good resource for them too. Hey, listen, I know you're out there trying to save one baby at a time in St. Louis. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and looking forward to sharing with the rest of the world. The power of 7-second chances.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.